What's up, folks? This is the Crypto Curator. Today's a good day, isn't it? Guys, we're going to have a good show. It's going to be a fun show. As you can see, I'm wearing my stylish orange today because it's all about Bitcoin, baby. And of course, don't fight the fibs. My good friend Fibbo Swanee. I'll probably talk about him a little bit in the show as well. And so, hey, how about we get into this thing? I want to start out by giving us a market update. And here's the thing, this market update was done before the market popped, so some of the numbers are going to look a little bit off, but that's quite all right. But the first thing before I even give you the market update, I got to give you this breaking news, right? Guys, what's going on? This is a crazy day. By the way, let me drop my glasses, put on my actual glasses so I can see what's going on. All right. Folks, Ripple has scored a win. This is big, right? Now, before we get too excited, let's relax a little bit because the judge, while he's pretty much said, you know what, it's not a security, but I'm not going to side with Ripple and I'm not going to side with the SEC. We're going to push this thing to trial. So this is still have to go to trial to be finalized. But from this judge's viewpoint, Ripple is XRP, not Ripple. XRP is not a security. And that's big, big news. On the heels of that breaking news, we got Alex Mashinsky going to jails, folks. You guys know that chant, lock him up, right? I think a lot of us want Mashinsky locked up for all the damage he's done because we know the whole CFI collapse was as a result first of Terra Luna, and then it just, as they say, crap rolls down. It just rolled downhill, hit Celsius, BlockFi, and Voyager, wiping out massive amounts of money, my money, your money, right? Hopefully with this ruling that's coming from the SEC locking him up, we hope that we can get our money back, right? As they say, folks, not your keys, not your coins. If you haven't learned that by now, take it from someone who's learned it the first-hand route, not your Bitcoin, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. So it's unfortunate, but it's something I took into consideration when I even did the gambling. Listen, guys, anybody that played with this CFI crap, I'm not going to say the S, you should have known you could lose your stuff. Now, if you were crazy enough to put your life savings on Celsius, BlockFi, or just shame on you. If you've paid any attention to me, I always tell people, if you're going to take risks, take calculated, educated risks. You can't put everything into those buckets because if those buckets leak, bye-bye Bitcoin, bye-bye assets. Okay, let's get on to the prices. Let's take a look at this, folks. This is good. Now, this slide I made well before it popped, so the numbers look even better now. But on the 13th of January of this year, Bitcoin was trading at $19,909.57. June, just last month of this year, it was trading at $25,918.23. That was a $4,000 increase month over month. That's phenomenal. Last month it was $2,000. This month it's up two more thousand, $4,000, almost $5,000, right? Now, if you look at, I'm sorry, that's 1 month. If you look at from January to July, this is year to date, we're up $10,000. And that's if you would have had the ability to afford one Bitcoin on January 13th. And if you were still sitting with that Bitcoin, your 19,000 is now, and again, like I said, it was done before, we're sitting at what, $31,000 right now? Let me get the real numbers for you guys. That way I can tell you the truth. Boy, look at those candles. This is ridiculous. When I tell you it pops up, 31.3, guys. Holy majoli. I need to put my glasses back on for this party, baby. Woo! Okay. Let me quit getting excited. Okay, let's take a look at the next slide as we look at some analysis that was made just this week. John Bollinger said Bitcoin is getting squeezed. And is this a short squeeze we're seeing? I think so. If you are crazy enough to short Bitcoin, you deserve to get squeezed. Just like orange juice, baby. See orange juice, Bitcoin, orange. Okay, Glassnode said we're at an inflection point. 30K is a firm foundation, and this is because of the Bitcoin ETF that BlackRock decided to file. Now, we know right after BlackRock filed their Bitcoin ETF, everybody else started filing right behind them, right? And they have this new sharing agreement, and all of the others made corrections to theirs. It's looking good for a Bitcoin ETF, folks, and I'm hoping that we get one maybe before the end of the year. Wouldn't that be a great Christmas present? This is getting good. Okay, lastly, Santiment said USDT and USDC, which is Tether, and USDC is Circle's stable coin. They were hinting at the next market move, and that looks like the next market move was up, baby. So let me stop here and say for the bears, I'm sorry, I'm not going to play the violin for you because you guys are absolutely insane. You guys have been talking about 8K and 10K and 12K. Holla at me now. What you think? You think we're still going to 8K, 10K? I don't think so, but I could be wrong, but it's not looking to be that being the case. All right, let's look at the big news of the week. What was that? Well, one of the biggest news stories, and when I say big news of the week, I'm talking about the news articles that were covered the most by most of the crypto publications. So the SEC investigating Prometheum. We know that Prometheum is the shady-looking exchange that came out of nowhere, and the SEC is starting to look into it. The reason the SEC is looking into it is because people in Congress are saying, hey, SEC, take a look at these guys. This doesn't look legit. We've got stable coins being better than CBDCs, and that's in China. Circle came out, Jeremy Allaire came out, and of course, hint, hint, he's biased. He thinks that a stablecoin is better for China than a CBDC. He could be right. Celsius sues Stakehound, trying to get $170 million back. And then we got Polygon proposing a change to Matic to POL instead of MATIC. That would be quite the ordeal, right? That's what I think. All right, guys, let's stop now and let's give us some love to our sponsor. This show is being powered by RoundlyX, and I'm going to have to put my glasses back on for this one because y'all know I'm about to get ready and drop the tunes. Because every card you connect with RoundlyX, every swipe you take with RoundlyX, every single day, every purchase you make, you'll be stacking sats. When you use code Bitcoin is Freedom, you'll get $15. So get started today by going over to roundlyx.com. There you go, folks. You got to do it. All right, let's get back to the show. All right, this is why I made this show today, is because I do want to talk about predictions. Now, one of the things that started this crazy rise in the price of Bitcoin, because as you can remember, we were down a little bit, but all of a sudden, the media went crazy. Why? They went crazy over Standard Chartered. Now, Standard Chartered has been around the block a few times, but let's take a look at this, and we're going to go back in time so that you guys don't think that I'm absolutely crazy and that I'm picking on Standard Chartered, because I'm not. Listen, I understand people have the right to change their minds, and I know that people have a right to change their perspective on which direction the market is going. And I'd have to say I'd give kudos to Standard Chartered for looking at the lay of the land and deciding, you know what, although they didn't say we were wrong, they were dead wrong. So just recently, a few days ago, Standard Chartered came out and everyone made a lot of noise about it. Every publication covered this. This was one of the most covered news stories of the week so far. Bitcoin could rise to $120,000 by the end of 2024. Now, before, in that same article, it talked about them saying we're going to get to 50,000 by the end of this year. Well, if Bitcoin keeps doing what it's going to do, they're going to be right. We might see 50,000 before the end of this year. Now, a lot of people are playing very conservative right now because they're scared. Listen, we've been barbecued by making these outlandish predictions and perceptions of what the market's going to do. And what we're finding is that no one really knows what's going to happen. Sometimes we get a black swan. Sometimes we get a white swan. The Bitcoin ETF news by BlackRock was definitely a white swan, was not on anyone's radar. No one was talking about this. But now, boom, we get it and off the market goes, right? We weren't expected. A lot of people got squeezed. And Bitcoin's coming off of exchanges. The supply shock might be in effect. So there's a lot going on. Now, let me tell you the reason why Standard Chartered said what they said back on just a few days ago. They believe that this whole 50K by the end of the year and 100K by the end of 2024 might be driven by the fact of the banking sector crisis. Now, we know the banking sector has got some issues, and they think that this might be part of it. Remember, we had 3 banks go under. And I think this is what Standard Chartered was looking at, saying, we think if this keeps going on, we might see Bitcoin rally. Well, all of a sudden, December of last year, in 2022, Standard Chartered had a whole different narrative. They were saying that Bitcoin could plunge 70% to $5,000 of Bitcoin. Why? Because it says Bitcoin could drop to 5,000 next year in a market surprise that investors are underpricing, according to Standard Chartered, making a 70% plunge from the current level around 17,000. Now, when they made this prediction, Bitcoin was around 17,000. To their defense, Bitcoin went on to drop down to 15.7K. Many bears were out just mauling the industry, saying we're going down to 12 and 10 and 8, if you guys remember that. Now, right now, Bitcoin's at 31,448. My goodness, boy, this rally is getting strong. Okay, now it says, in a note entitled "The Financial Market Surprise 2023," Standard Chartered outlined the number of possible scenarios that we feel are underpriced in the market. Standard Chartered said rising yields, along with the plunge in technology stocks, will lead to an acceleration of Bitcoin sell-off and cause further bankruptcies and collapse in the crypto world. Did not happen. Now, if we go back to, when was this article written? September 9th of 2021. This was a year prior. Standard Chartered said what? They said Bitcoin can hit $100,000 in 2021. This bank sees Ethereum soaring tenfold. Guys, that didn't happen, did it? No, it didn't happen. This is what I'm saying. I don't mean to pick on Standard Chartered, but you can't say in September of 2021 that Bitcoin's going to 100,000 by the end of 2021. Then in 2022 says it's going to go to $5,000. And then in 2023, come back and say, oh, we're going to go to 100,000 by the end of 2024. What is this telling you? You can't predict this market. It's almost impossible, guys. Why do we try to do crazy stuff like this? All right, enough picking on Standard Chartered. Let's pick on Tim Draper a little bit. Now, you guys know, listen, I call him out. I began tracking Bitcoin predictions a long time ago, back in 2027. And the reason I started tracking predictions is because some of the things people were saying were just asinine. I mean, some of these predictions, if you remember our good friend, and I won't bring him up now, well, I will bring him up now, John McAfee, right? John McAfee said what? I'll eat my own dick on TV if Bitcoin is not $1 million by 2020. 3 years ago, guys, we haven't even gotten close to 100,000, never mind you, 1 million. You can't listen to these people. I'm telling you, if you're listening to these people, listen, I got duped into it the last bull cycle. We all were under the impression that Bitcoin was going to 100K. When Bitcoin hit 60 and 70K, we thought the party was just getting started. As a matter of fact, I remember people saying, guess what? The fat ladies is just warming up, right? The Star Spangled Banner hasn't finished playing yet. We haven't even started the game. All of that narrative led a lot of people to hodling Bitcoin at the highest heights, even buying Bitcoin at 60 and 70,000 because we thought we were going to 100K. On my Twitter, if you look at it, what does it say? 100K. That's been there since the last big run-up. Why? Because I had bought into Laser Eyes, 100K. We were all in that game, right? Tim Draper this year, just a few days ago, once again, has come out and said what? He still thinks Bitcoin can reach $250,000 just 2 years later than he expected. Now, he had initially said that this was going to happen in 2021. Not so, right? And then he comes around and says it's still going to happen. It's just going to take us till 2024, probably the end of 2024, more like 2025, which is okay. Let's see if that happens. Guys, for us to go from 31,000 to 250,000 is still a monstrous move. You're talking 10x move. That's a huge move. Will Bitcoin do it? Let's see. Now, in 2022, Tim Draper said he was 100% sure Bitcoin reached 250 by the end of 2024. Or actually, at that time, it was by 2024. So he was talking at the end of this year. Didn't happen, not going to happen. If we get to $250,000 by the end of this year, I'm not making any bets. I'm not John McAfee, so I'm not going to do that. But you get what I'm saying. Why would you make an outlandish prediction like this? Now, understand why he's making some of these predictions, okay? Let's take a look at what he says. It says the billionaire investor predicted that the cryptocurrency would reach 250,000 by June of 2023. That was his initial quote. That was his initial prediction. This is July 2023. We're not at $250,000. But he said he wasn't expecting the U.S. to be so aggressive in its enforcement action. So he's blaming the U.S. Fed for raising rates so fast that he wasn't expecting that. And that's why we didn't hit 200. Even if they didn't raise the rates, I still don't think we'd been at 250,000. It's almost impossible. Okay. The one where he said we were sure, this was back in 2022. It says Draper extended his prediction 250,000 by 6 months due to the collapse of FTX. So at first it was the Fed, now it was FTX that caused it, right? If we look further to June of 2021, right? Billionaire Tim Draper is still bullish that Bitcoin could reach 250,000 by the end of 2022. He was sure then too, right? And then if we look again, Tim Draper envisions Bitcoin at 250,000, taking 5% of the global market share by 2023. Guys, I guess what I'm trying to, again, impress upon you is listening to people like Tim Draper, Standard Chartered, and I'm not trying to dog these people out. I'm just trying to be honest. These lofty goals, here's what I say. Get me to 100K before we make any other predictions. If you want to make some predictions, get me to 100. At this point, get me to 50K before you want to make any other predictions. If you can accurately call 50K, then I might consider any other calls you make after that. But the truth is that the market is too complex. You can't make statements like this. Industry is still incredibly small. What is the market cap of Bitcoin right now? Under $1 trillion? Tiny, guys. You're talking this market get moved, slapped around like crazy by all of the players and the manipulators. Guys, they can do anything they want to us. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up by looking at the 100K club. There's a group of people that were in the 100K club, and you need to look at some of these because it's actually a little bit crazy, right? So in 2017, and of course, listen, we all were hyped up. I was hyped up. You were probably hyped up. Everyone's high-fiving, backslapping. 2017, it was going over 20,000. We were making all kinds of calls, right? Mark Van de Christ, if I pronounce his name right, he said by 2021, we were going to be 100K. Didn't happen. Dennis Porto said by February of 2021. Didn't happen. Jihan Wu, remember that name? Our good friend, Mr. Bitmain, Bitcoin miners. He said in 5 years, Bitcoin would be at $100,000. Didn't happen. Dave Chapman said before 2018 is over, Bitcoin's going to be at 100,000. Not happening. Chamath Palihapitiya, my friend, by 2020 or by 2021, Bitcoin would be over $100,000. The graveyard is filled with people trying to make predictions on what Bitcoin's going to do. Do not be one of them. Do not buy into talking heads telling you what the price of Bitcoin is going to be. No one in their right mind has a clue as to what Bitcoin's going to be 3-5 years from now. They just won't. And as much as I'd love to say, yes, in 2030, Bitcoin's going to be over $1 million, I don't know that, to be honest. And if you're going off of what I say with predictions, I got some swampland to sell you in somewhere because it's ridiculous, guys. We do not know what Bitcoin's going to do. There are white swan events, there are black swan events. No one knows what's going to happen. Now, that said, there is a 4-year cycle, and the 4-year cycle is real. And if you don't think so, you should be paying attention to what happened in 2013, what happened in 2017, what happened in 2021, and what's about to happen in 2024, 2025. The 4-year cycle is still alive and strong. People back when Bitcoin was 15.7 said what? We're going to 12, we're going to 10, we're going to, if you guys remember that video, Bitcoin, please go to the moon. Stop going sideways now, right? Why? It said Tony Vaz say we're going down to 1K, but Mr. Novogratz say we have bottomed out, right? Novogratz called it. Novogratz said we bottomed at 3. Tone Vase was still saying we were going to 1,000, and Tone Vase has learned his lesson. He's not making any more statements like that anymore. Bitcoin will teach you you cannot make predictions about what it's going to do in the future. It will bite you in the butt every time you go to make a prediction. And right now we're about to hit 31.5. Guys, listen. Let me make it clear to you again. Stack sats as much as you possibly can. Charlie Lee said everyone should work to own 1 Bitcoin before you touch anything else. If you do that and Bitcoin does what we think it's going to do, you're going to be okay. If you have, and a couple of my shows talked about this, if you have 1 million Satoshis and Bitcoin does what we think it's going to do, you'd have $1 million because every Satoshi would be $1. Now, will things cost 10 times more when you have $1 million? Possibly. But the point is that your little, at the time when I made that video, $250 would be $1 million. Nowhere else on the planet can you do something with any asset. Not real estate, not bonds, not stocks, not T-bills, nothing. Bitcoin is freedom because it gives us our time back. That is what we're looking for. Not only does it give you time back, it gives you control over your life. You don't have to worry about the government. You don't have to worry about other people. You don't have to worry about the banks, the feds, inflation. All of that's out of the window. You're not held bondage to any of that stuff because you own the most scarcest asset on the planet. It's digital scarcity. If you haven't learned that from Michael Saylor, I don't know who you're listening to, but that's who you should be listening to. The man that now owns 150,000 Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin keeps performing like this, boy, let me tell you, is he going to be in really good shape? His company's in solid shape already with 150,000 Bitcoin. Guys, again, whatever you do, don't fight the fibs. Listen to Fib 20. Now, my good friend Brian Swan, he's been talking about this market as if you remember, a couple months ago, he made the statement that Bitcoin is going to go to 48,000. Now, it didn't happen in the time frame specifically that he thought, but we are on our way. And if Bitcoin keeps doing what it's doing right now, we could very well be at 48,000 by the end of July. Now, will it be the end of July, or will it be the end of August, or will it be the end of September, or will it be the end of October? You see where I'm going, right? We've already got Standard Chartered saying 50,000 by the end of the year. Bitcoin, Fib 20 is talking about 48,000 possibly by the end of July. Can we see this happen? If so, could we also see this thing rally back to all-time high before the end of the year, take another dump before the halving, and then come back and reset and go once again? Wouldn't that be amazing and crazy? It would be. We've got some months coming. I'm not making any predictions, and I don't know what it's going to do. Here's what I'd like to tell everybody to do. I need you all to do a couple things. First, you want to have enough Bitcoin that if Bitcoin moves, it moves the needle for you, right? What does that look like? If you got 1 Bitcoin right now, like you said, for this year, you're up $10,000. You're not doing too shabby. And beside already having some Bitcoin, the next thing you want to do is have some dry powder in case this thing drops back down. You can buy more, right? So have enough Bitcoin that if the market moons, you're in good shape. Have enough dry powder that if the market dumps, you can buy. If the market goes sideways, guys, go out and touch some grass, hug some kids, kiss some babies, pet some dogs, have fun in the sun. That's what you want to do. That's the position you want to be at. You don't want to be in a position where you got all in and Bitcoin tanks on you, and now you're feeling miserable and you feel like I need to sell, and you sell and then it pops, and then you feel like you need to buy, and that's a losing situation. Most of us are not great traders in the first place, so we shouldn't be trading anything. Unless you've taken time like this guy, Fib 20, to study this market for decades, you probably shouldn't be trading. And if you are trading, you better have a coach like Fib 20 to help you out. Otherwise, stack sats, buy fucking dips, and hodl, right? As my good friend Matty Sat says, what? Be smart, be safe, stack sats, and hodl. That's what you want to do in this market, because if you're not good at it and you don't have the time and the luxury to watch it every day, that's what you want to do. Okay, guys, enough for me. Here we go. Listen, Folks, I'm going to wrap this up. I've taken up about 30 minutes of your time. So a few things I want to leave you with. My website, thecryptocurator.com. That's where you're going to get all the information you need from me. That site's going to have the top news story. And as we saw earlier, the day before, we had breaking news about the SEC and Alex Mashinsky. And before the market popped, Matic is talking about changing the Matic token to POL. That's going to be huge. I have a video of the day. I have the podcast of the day. And then I have my 2 shows with a lot of other information on there for you guys to get. Folks, the Bitcoin Live family is powered by quantum economics. Some of the top industry leading analysts, researchers that are out there. Quantum economics provide a vast amount of services, and they've now partnered with Bitcoin Live to bring you some more quality content. We've got a ton of shows on Bitcoin Live. So whatever you do, go to our channel on YouTube, like it, subscribe, and ring the bell. That way you'll get notified whenever we come on air doing shows like this. And of course, you get to see my face and hear my singing. Don't you love it? I know I'm a horrible singer. Don't worry about it. Folks, this has been a fun episode once again. The Bitcoin price is popping once again. I think it rallied to almost 31.5 and we're back to 31.2. It's fast moving, a lot of volatility. Don't get wrecked and have an amazing weekend. See you guys next week.